Look for brands that prioritize ethical and environmental practices. Buy and sell clothes through thrift stores, online marketplaces, and clothing swaps. Support secondhand, care for your clothes, and educate yourself. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our channel. And if this is your first time and you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Cassandra Chloe. Now, in this episode, we're going to be tackling everything that has to do with what is sustainable fashion. Sustainable fashion refers to clothing and accessories that are environmentally and socially responsible throughout the entire lifespan of the garment. It aims to minimize the negative impact that the industry poses on the planet and its people by considering factors like production processes, uh, material sourcing, and waste management. Here's a more detailed look at what sustainable fashion encompasses. Now, let's tackle our first point, which has to do with environmental responsibility. Now, the first environmental responsibility has to do with the material choice. So it prioritizes materials with a lower environmental impact, such as organic cottons, natural fibers, and innovative and plant-based options such as hemp and linen. Now, the next point has to do with production processes. It involves minimizing water and energy consumption and reducing pollution from dyes and chemicals, and the reduction also in greenhouse gas emissions. Now, next up is all about waste reduction. Sustainable fashion promotes the reduction of textile waste through practices such as upcycling, recycling, and extending the lifespan of a garment. And the last point or benefit is all about promoting a circular economy. So it's all about encouraging a circular approach where garments are used or reused in a circular manner over and over again for as long as possible. And the materials are reused or recycled at the end of their life. Now, when it comes to social responsibility, we're talking about fair labor practices. Sustainable fashion ensures for fair wages, safe working conditions, and respect for workers' rights throughout the supply chain, and particularly in developing countries where production of garments take place. Now, our next point has to do with ethical sourcing. It involves sourcing materials and production from suppliers who adhere to ethical standards and avoid exploitation. Transparency and traceability. Sustainable fashion brands strive for transparency, and what that means is that they'll be readily providing or willing to provide information in terms of their production process, all the way also into the supply chain. Now, let's look into what are the key aspects of sustainable fashion. Now, the three key aspects are slow, circular, and ethical. Now, the slow fashion aspect has to do with encouraging the consumer to purchasing slow fashion, consuming slow fashion. What that means is buying fewer items, quality over quantity, um, produced with higher quality fabrics or materials, and really valuing a longer lifespan of that higher quality item as opposed to fast fashion. Now, ethical fashion, which is a subset of sustainable fashion, really focuses on ethical labor practices. So, fair labor practices, ethical production. Now, the last point, which is circular fashion, that's all to do with a system that was designed to just reuse fashion, reuse garments, clothing, items for as long as possible. So to extend the lifespan of that piece of clothing instead of just buying, dumping, rebuying. Now, let's quickly touch upon why is sustainable fashion so important? And the three key answers to that have to do with environmental protection, our social justice, and lastly, our health. Now, with respect to the environmental protection, as we discussed a little earlier, this really has to do with the fact that, as we know already, the fashion industry is responsible is a major contributor towards pollution, waste, and greenhouse gas emissions. Now, with respect to social justice, that's all to do where fast fashion is linked to the exploitation of workers and poor working conditions. Now, to our last point, which was health. Sustainable fashion practices can reduce the use of pollutants and harmful chemicals, which in turn can affect our health, of course. And lastly, let's have a look at how we can engage with sustainable fashion. Now, that can be done by reducing consumption, choosing sustainable brands, support secondhand, care for your clothes, and educate yourself. Now, reducing consumption, a little bit about what we were chatting before, is all about buying less, investing in durable, higher quality items. Choosing sustainable brands, that's all to do with prioritizing brands which have or operate with ethical processes and are transparent. Look for brands that prioritize ethical and environmental practices. Buy and sell clothes through thrift stores, online marketplaces, and clothing swaps. Care for your clothes. That all has to do with extending the life of your current garments or clothes. Um, so that could be, for example, by washing them a little less frequently or by washing them by hand a little bit more often. I've done that myself over the last few years and I've noticed a huge difference as opposed to putting certain pieces in the washing machine. They'll just last me for years and years. Learning basic sewing skills, mending or repairing certain items yourself. And the last point, all about educating yourself, really has to do with learning of the impacts of the fashion industry and how it impacts our planet and our people, and understanding the principles of a sustainable fashion industry. All right, well, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching and listening if you made it this far. And I hope to see you on the next episode. Bye, lovelies.